Yeah, it's been a crucial part in my sobriety from the beginning, from rehab, where I took the first yoga class. It was one of the first times in my life that I was able to, pause those obsessive thoughts in my head about what do I have to do? Who do I have to lie to, manipulate? How am I going to get the next drink, the next drug? Who's thinking about me? Who's going to see me caught in this lie? What do I have to remember? All of these like obsessive thoughts that were going on and on and on.
Welcome back to the Sobriety Diaries, friends. I'm your host, Nate Kelly, founder of Pod Studio and recovering alcoholic, 8.5 years from my last drink. If you're an aspiring podcaster or have a message to share, I would love to help you bring that to life. More information on the services I offer in today's show notes. Let's open the diary on Max Fusaro. Max is now the owner of Hot Yoga Revolution. That's new, Max, since we talked last. I'm excited to hear the update on that. Welcome. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. All things are well. It's been a journey. It's been a couple years since we spoke, I believe 3, and
Yeah,
it's been over 7 in recovery now. So it's been a journey, but things are great. All things are great.
it's hard to believe, right? Like when I say 8.5 years, it's like it seems like that much time has passed, but also it's really like the blink of an eye. It's kind of crazy how, my dad always said, even when I was younger, like the older you get, the faster it goes. And that's
Hmm.
totally true. It's kind of scary, right?
Absolutely. It's a journey for certain. Some days feel like 20 days and other days feel like 2 seconds. And then
Yeah.
the culmination of them all feels,
Yeah.
yeah, it's moving quick.
Well, you can check out Max and I's first conversation in season 1 of the show, which is hard to believe. All of our episodes are available to watch or listen to at youtube.com/slash Nate Kelly. Max, I remember your yoga journey was kind of just really peaking or starting to really take off when we first started, and you had interest in becoming an owner at Hot Yoga Revolution. So let's talk about that and the studio and how things have changed. Catch me up on the yoga life since we last spoke.
Yeah, it's been a journey for certain. I know the last time we spoke was about 3 years ago, and I've now been the owner of Hot Yoga Revolution for a little over 2 years. So that happened shortly after our last conversation. I was in talks with the previous owner, Danielle, and I had been working with her and helping her run programs, and she was showing me sort of like the proprietary information stuff behind the scenes in the studio. And me now, like where I am in recovery, just being a person of trying to be a person every day, of like being honest with people as well as I can, which is completely against everything that I did for the first 25 years of my life.
Right.
So I was working with her and learning all of these things about the studio, and in the back of my mind I wanted to open my own studio one day. So we had that conversation, which I generally in the past like wouldn't have done.
Yeah.
My addict alcoholic thinking would have been like, ooh, this is great, like I'm getting all of this stuff that I can then use on my own, and
Take
that like
advantage
selfish,
of in some
self-centered,
way. Yeah.
exactly. And I did the opposite. I did what I've been taught in recovery, is to just be honest, and it paid off tenfold. I had an honest conversation with Danielle saying like, I appreciate you putting all this time, effort, and energy into me and showing me all these things about the back end of the studio, but what I would like to do, my ultimate goal is to open my own studio. And once I told her that, she returned with a question of, would you ever consider buying this studio? And that's where that all started. We eventually made it through the mountains of paperwork with lawyers and banks involved and all of
Yeah.
those types of things. And in right around my sobriety date, it was April. I have a lot of big dates in April. April 26th is my sobriety date, but I believe it's April 28th was the day that I took over the studio in 2022. And
That's awesome. Now, I
yeah,
know
it's
that
been.
your dad is an entrepreneur, right? So did you sort of lean on him for any guidance with, the whole process, or kind of getting advice on, setting out now as an entrepreneur yourself?
Absolutely. My dad has been a shining example of basically everything in my life. He's probably the hardest working person that I know, and he works his butt off to be successful in his business as an entrepreneur. And just seeing that example, like day after day, even growing up, like him coming home, eating dinner as a family, and then him having to go back to work, go back to the office, go back to get things done, has been something that has like been instilled in me of just that work ethic to do whatever it takes to get the job done. And I also leaned on him throughout the entire process, bouncing a million ideas off of him. He was very crucial in setting me up with people that were able to get the job done. The lawyer that took us through things is one of his friends, like that he's used for certain things in his business, and he's been an invaluable resource, just something I wouldn't have been able to be at this point without him. That's just a fact.
Yeah, and I think it speaks to, you know, being able to rebuild those relationships and establish that trust. Like I remember in your recovery journey, or your story that we talked about the first time around, there was some theft and dishonesty from your parents. And, had that continued, or, had you not been able to reestablish that trust, certainly, owning your own business may have not happened, but your dad may have not been so willing to help out, or, introduce you to colleagues, or other people that have made this happen for you. I think that speaks to your commitment in those relationships.
Absolutely. Yeah. I would say 8 years ago, my dad wouldn't have loaned me, $20 to help me get the yoga
Yeah.
studio off the ground, let alone thousands to help me. He's invested in the studio himself. He trusts me. He trusts my work ethic. He trusts my vision. And that trust was definitely broken. And through the program of recovery and through helping other people and getting honest and being willing to have difficult conversations and being reliable and showing up, and all things that I had not done for the first 25 years of my life, and all things that I've been doing for the past seven plus, like that trust has come back. And he, trusts me and the studio and believes in the community and all things that he was willing to put his time, effort, money, energy behind. And it's been nothing short of incredible, just the support that I've received and the trust that we've gotten back.
Hey there, future podcaster. I'm Nate Kelly, and today I'm thrilled to introduce you to something that is going to transform your podcasting journey. Are you ready to turn your passion for podcasting into a thriving reality? Let me introduce you to the Podcast Launch Accelerator. Imagine a 6-month mentorship program where you get personalized one-on-one coaching, an action plan tailored to your goals, and a comprehensive podcast growth blueprint. But wait, there's more. We're throwing in exclusive interviews with industry experts, a professional podcast success toolkit, and access to our monetization masterclass. At the end of 6 months, we guarantee you a spot in the top 10%, appearance on top iTunes or Spotify charts, and a monetized podcast with host-read ads. Ready to launch your podcast? Click the link below to secure your spot in the Podcast Launch Accelerator. So, let's keep kind of on the same line here and talk about how just so important and incredible moving your body and physical activity, how it can just change your recovery or supplement your recovery. I talk to a lot of people who kind of hit a wall in their sobriety or come to a point where, their routine is kind of down, but they need something kind of to hit the next level or, increase not only their physical activity, but there's certainly a mental stimulus that's involved in exercise and body movement as well. Like, how has that not only, being a business owner and I'm sure still teaching classes, but just moving your body and having that physical activity sort of elevated your own sobriety? And how have you seen it, with students or other people in your classes?
Yeah, it's been a crucial part in my sobriety from the beginning, from rehab, where I took the first yoga class. It was one of the first times in my life that I was able to, pause those obsessive thoughts in my head about what do I have to do? Who do I have to lie to, manipulate? How am I going to get the next drink, the next drug? Who's thinking about me? Who's going to see me caught in this lie? What do I have to remember? All of these like obsessive thoughts that were going on and on and on. Yoga was the first time I was able to just pause those thoughts and just focus on my breath and moving my body. And that really continues to this day. Like the thoughts are definitely different. Like I'm not thinking about who I'm gonna rob, steal, and manipulate and lie to, but I have just, life is life and things happen and owning a business and we've got a staff of almost 50 people that work with us
Wow.
at the studio and we've got hundreds and hundreds of clients. So there's always just something to deal with. There's a little fire to put out. There's, you know, just the stressors of life. I am married now, which I was not in
Wow.
our previous
Congrats. You just kind of snuck
episode.
that in there.
Yeah, so married, we bought a new house. We're having a baby in September. So like
Jeez,
all of these
Max.
huge life goals, milestone things happening and just like, just keep doing the next right thing and putting one foot in front of the other and all these things happen. And at the same time, like that's a lot of life to be happening and to be
That's a
living
lot of
in.
life.
And it's a beautiful thing. And also the yoga and the movement and that having that stability has been like my rock, like an ability to just turn my brain off for an hour, have the yoga instructor, whoever they may be, 99% of the time is our staff at Hot Yoga Revolution who are incredible at what they do. Just have somebody else tell me what to do. Just like pause my brain, just like tell me to breathe in, tell me to breathe out, move my body, do this pose, do that pose. We also do it at our studio in about 95 to 100 degrees of
Yeah,
heat. So it's really hot, and there's not really any other space in my brain to think about anything else aside from moving and breathing because the heat really applies that pressure of like, okay, I can't think about what I'm going to be doing after this class or what I did before this class or what's on the to-do list or what I have to do tomorrow. Like, I really need to just be here now, be present, move, and breathe, or I'm not really going to make it in this 95,
how
100
do I
degree heat.
not
Like,
die right now?
yeah, it's just like I need to just focus. It like kicks in that survival mechanism of like, okay, be here now. Like, this is what we're up to right now. And that's been like an oasis in just like, busyness of life. Not like life is too busy or too this or too that. It's just life and it's a great life and it's a busy life and it's a little break, it's a little breather to be able to move my body, breathe, and then all of the principles that come with yoga have been, you know, amazing as well. There's too many for me to think of. Like one of the ones that comes into my brain quite often is one of the first ones. There are 8 limbs to yoga, like the yogic path, and the first one are called yamas, which are restraints. And then there's 5 like subcategories of that is kind of the easiest way I can put it. And the first one is called ahimsa, which means nonviolence. So obviously it's like don't be violent towards other people. Like that's one of the foundations, like pillars of yoga, but it's also turning it inward and like not being violent to yourself, not beating yourself
Mm,
up, which I did a tremendous amount of in my early years of I was my worst, harshest critic and I'm
same.
waking up and drinking and doing drugs 24/7, just beating myself up 24/7 over and over and over again and yoga has really helped me take it easy on myself. And whether I have a productive day or an unproductive day, just being able to accept what is and move forward and just continue to try my best each day. So there's hundreds of these principles of yoga that we could speak about, and that's the one that kind of pops into my brain most often is like, okay, take it easy on yourself. Like, sure, you made a mistake. Sure, this happened, that happened. I'm a new business owner. It's been 2 years and I still like feel like sometimes it's been 2 days. So
Yeah.
just giving myself grace of like, okay, this went wrong. Just like learn the lesson from it, deal with this, deal with that, have this conversation, that difficult conversation, and then don't beat yourself up about how it went. Just learn from it and keep moving forward. So the yoga has been like my pillar, my rock.
Is your wife a yogi too?
She is. She is.
I was gonna say it kind of has to be, right?
Yep. Yeah, she is. That's where we met. We met doing the practice together, and we met actually. It was a funny story. We were practicing next to each other during COVID, which was like an outdoor class. So we were like outside. That was the way we were able to still practice in the midst of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And so there was all the social distancing. We're outside. We're like the mats are set up like 6 feet apart, which is not the case anymore. But we were like outside and we were set up further apart. And I got COVID the next day. So I was doing the contact tracing of like
Yeah. Oh my God, this is
texting people of
the
like,
best
hi.
story.
Yeah. So I had to text her and say like, hey, I'm really sorry. I tested positive for COVID and I was next to you yesterday. And that's really where it started. That's
This
how
is
we
like a
met.
like legitimate lifetime romance movie.
Yep, that's it. That's us.
Happily ever after. They own a yoga studio together. Oh my God, I love it.
She does yoga also. She's a yoga teacher. We're going to be leading a training together next year, which I'm super excited about, like the next level of teacher training. So the 200-hour training is like your initial like certification to become an instructor. And then we're leading the 300-hour training together, which
Mm,
is like the next step in the yoga teacher path. So we'll be leading that together, which I'm very excited about.
that's awesome. So 200 hours is what? Then you're a certified yoga instructor. And then what does the 300 get you? Is it like a new
The three,
certification or?
Yeah, so the way that it works is there's a yoga alliance, kind of like the governing body of yoga. It's like an international organization.
Mhm.
And once you get the 200-hour certification, that certifies you to become a yoga teacher to teach classes. And then the 300-hour completing one of those trainings will get you the designation of 500. So the two plus the three is
Yeah,
a 500 RYT, which is registered yoga teacher. So it's the
got it.
next level in the certification process.
Got it. And so tell us if someone's listening and they're interested in the next certification. I know you're in New Jersey, but give us a quick plug about the studio or where they can find info online.
Yeah, so we're in New Jersey. We are Hot Yoga Revolution. We're a hot yoga studio based in Central New Jersey, if there is one, northern Central New Jersey. We,
Did you just make that up,
yeah, like,
Max?
no, I've heard that a bunch. Like, people have said, like, there's no such thing as Central New Jersey. I believe I'm from Central
There,
New Jersey, but
yeah.
I know there's a little bit of like a debate of like if there is, if there isn't.
I mean, technically, there's a center to every state,
Everything.
right? Yeah,
Yeah,
to
exactly.
everything.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're Hot Yoga Revolution. We're on Instagram as Hot Yoga Revolution, website hotyogarevolution.com. We offer mainly heated classes in 95, 100-degree heat. It is a vinyasa style practice, which means flow, like one breath, one movement. Inhale, do this, exhale, do that, and helps facilitate that mind body breath connection of moving your body while moving your mind. There's not a tremendous amount of room to be doing much else in that space, so really facilitates being present in the moment. And we have an incredible, diverse community of people of all ages, people of all heights, weights, colors. It's one of the things that I take the most pride in, that we have people that come in and do our like high school student special for the summer where they're 18 years old. And then we have people that come every single day that are in their 70s. And we've got a whole bunch of men, women, everybody is welcome and willing to participate in our studio. And it's for all levels, for every person. We have one of the most diverse communities around in a yoga studio that I've seen. Generally, it tends to swing more one way than the other, but we pride ourselves in being available for everyone, for every person, whether you've done yoga 0 times or 10 million times. We've got a class for you. So we love what we do. We have instructors that are super passionate about the practice and about learning and continuing to grow. And that's why we offer training programs, the 200 hour to become certified, the 300 hour to take it to the next level. So if you want to become a yoga teacher or want to continue to grow in your yoga teaching, we have offerings for everyone. And yeah, it's just a whole bunch of good people, like really great people that love the practice, love what we do, and try to share it with other people.
It's so important to surround yourself with people that inspire you or people that have integrity. You know, it's like birds of a feather, right? Especially as a business owner, you have to be really cognizant of the people I think that you employ or that represent your
Mhm.
business. So I'm glad to hear that. Good for you.
Absolutely. That's been one of the biggest lessons that I've learned in these first couple years. That, we may not have like a crystal clear vision, while I think we have like a vision and a promise of what we're up to, which is to share the yoga practice with as many people as we can and have that impact on people's lives. I do believe more importantly about like different than where you're going. I think more important is like who's on the bus with you,
Who you're going
like
with. I
who's your
agree.
team, exactly, like who you're going with, and then those people will inspire and facilitate and help lead where we're all going together.
What percentage of the students or clients at your studio are in recovery, would you say? Or is that not something that, you really discuss?
No, that's a good question. I'm super open about it. I'll speak about it in my classes. I have, if I'm teaching near an anniversary, I'll bring it up, or if there's anything that pops into my brain that day, like we talk about it. And it's something that I'm very open with, and it's something that's connected me to a whole bunch of people in recovery outside of like 12-step recovery rooms, which
Yeah.
I'm active in as well. But there are there are a whole bunch of people in recovery that come to our studio. I don't know about a percentage of it, but
Yeah.
I just met a recent, sponsee that I'm working with now through the studio. Like that's how we were connected together. And there's a whole bunch of us. There's instructors that are in the program. There's a whole bunch of clients. Like it's a really cool thing to see.
That's so amazing. I'm so glad you brought up 12 steps and still being active in the program. Sponsoring other people is amazing. Do you find with your sponsees, like, do you take a teacher approach? Like, are there pillars in yoga and sponsorship that you use similarly?
Yes and no. Kind of depends on the sponsee, I would say. Generally speaking, I share my experience, and
Yeah.
part of my experience is the practice of yoga. So I will share about it. I'll tell them, what I do for a living and how I practice and all of those types of things. And then I stick to the way that I was taken through everything. Like I have, thank God for great sponsorship. Like my sponsor is
Amen.
an angel on earth. But he took me through the book the way he was taken through the book was we go through the first 164 pages line by line, and when it tells us to do something, we do it. When it tells us to pray, we pray. Any action that it gives us, we do it. So I take people through it the exact same way I was taken through it, and I don't tell them to do anything that I've never done, and I give them suggestions. If they want to take it, amazing. If they don't, totally cool. We'll talk about it. And yeah, I go through it that way. And each one's a little different. Have I talked about yoga more with certain sponsees? Absolutely. And have I talked about it less? Not at all, because I share my experience and it's part of
Right.
my experience, but I definitely have talked about it more or less with just different individual people.
Max, you know that a lot of our listeners are in early recovery, and I like to leave them with some tangible things. And I'd love for you to share maybe something from your own experience or something from your own journey that they can take away from today, a recommendation or something to, help them put one foot in front of the other. Do you have anything you'd like to share, some tangible things for the listeners?
Absolutely. I think one of the things that helped me out the most and still helps me out to this day is taking other people's suggestions and trying them,
Mm,
especially in early recovery. For the first years of my entrance into detox and rehab and 12-step recovery programs and meetings and things along those lines, I was trying to do it my way. I was trying to do it Max's way. And every single time I tried to do it my way, I ended up drunk or high. Every
yeah,
single
our
time
brains are
without
like
fail.
broken, right? At that point.
Yeah, there was just every time I was like, I'm gonna do it my way. I'm gonna figure this out. I'm gonna. My drug of choice was opiates, but every single time I got out of a treatment or came out of a meeting or anything along those lines, it was like, I'm gonna just drink beer and smoke weed. Like, I see all my friends doing it.
Yeah.
They can do it. They have jobs. They can just do it on weekends, or maybe they'll smoke during the week, but like they can figure it out, and like so can I. One of the things that was kind of a catalyst in the beginning of my recovery journey this time around was recognizing and realizing that I'm not like other people. And that's okay, but I can't drink and smoke like other people. It's just going to lead me down this path of self destruction. So, taking people's suggestions and doing what they've been telling me to do the entire time, but just trying it on was super, super important for me. Like, it's not like every time I got out of detox or got out of rehab that they were like hiding the secret of sobriety away from me and nobody ever really told me what to do. And then this time they actually told me what to do. That wasn't true. I just wasn't listening any of the times before. I was trying to do it my own way every single time. So this time I was, just willing to do something somebody else's way and to just give it a try. Like I didn't have anything to lose. So they told me, get out of rehab and go to a meeting and raise your hand and just say, hi, my name's Max. I need help. And that's what I did. And that was very uncomfortable. And I would say in early recovery, get comfortable being uncomfortable. There's going to be lots of things that you need to do that are going to make you feel uncomfortable, and that's okay. You're going to survive that uncomfortability. Like, go to a meeting, say, raise your hand, say you need help. Like, that's something that is way outside of my comfort zone. I don't think I ever asked for help ever. So just getting comfortable, being uncomfortable, get the sponsor right away. It's not like you're signing a contract. You're not married to this person. Like, you can switch if it doesn't work out after a week or two, but just get one, have somebody to hold you accountable, call that person every day. And for me, just great sponsorship is, I'm blessed with it. Like, I had no idea what I was doing, and it was, but I was willing. And that's really where it came from. And I would call my sponsor every day and say, like, okay, what's next? Like, what do we do next? And he'd tell me, do this, read this, pray about that, go to this meeting, like, this is it. And I'd do it and just like, what's next? What's next? What's next? And yeah, just take suggestions, be open to suggestions, try them on. Like, what's the worst that could happen? You take it and it doesn't work. Like,
Yeah,
that's it.
those are great. I love that you brought those up. You've brought up 2 points today that I think are absolutely critical for a successful journey or strong recovery, and that's willingness and honesty. And I think with those two things, it can, at least get you started on the journey and provide these beautiful things. I mean, Max, your life is a shining example of what willingness and honesty can do for a person. Even since our first conversation, the promises, the benefits of living a life of integrity and that you can be proud of. And these things start happening in our lives that otherwise, would have never been possible. So I'm so happy for you. Thank you so much for the willingness and the honesty to share today. I'll link Max's yoga information in today's show notes. Max Fusaro, what a pleasure. I'm so glad that you were willing to come back and be honest with us. Thank you, Max.
Thank you so much, Nate. Always willing to be here, always willing to show up for all things recovery related. That's how it worked for me. Hearing other people's stories is what got me in the door and got me willing to open up and be honest with other people that have had the same experiences as me. So always willing to show up and be honest and share my story because I know how much that helped me in the beginning. So thank you so much for having me.
Thanks so much for listening today, friends. Hopefully, you heard something inspiring and that resonates with you. If you're an aspiring podcaster or have your own message to share, head over to podcastnate.com and book a discovery call. I have helped countless aspiring podcasters to launch their show and share their message, and I'd be honored to help you do the same. Remember, everyone has a story. Yours could help save a life. Make sure you subscribe to the Sobriety Diaries so you never miss an upload. We're back with new episodes every Wednesday. Bye, everyone.